Are you wanting to rewire your mind so that you think in a more empowering and positive way as a guy? Maybe you wake up thinking about what could go wrong, or maybe a breakup, or maybe a financial setback. And although sometimes we have to deal practically with the world, are you just tired of your brain going that way and you want to feel good, right? Well, today I'm going to talk about how I've rewired my mind to look for the good rather than the fears and the struggles. And if you stay until the very end, I have an extra point for you then as well. Okay, so I really want to talk about this because recently I joined a mastermind to really help my growth, because I'm always looking at like group coaches, mentors, all these people to help me feel good, and peer groups is really, really key. People who you're around make a massive difference, I found in my experience, right? Now, sometimes that doesn't mean that you're like, you could be around a peer group who are not trying to put you down and not bad people, right? And I always try to see the best in people, even though I'm challenged sometimes, right? Let's be honest. But I sometimes you can have a peer group of people who are just not the same level. They're not just they're good people, and they do their like day to day thing and they're okay, but they got different views and maybe you're ambitious and they're like, don't think that, and all this kind of thing. Well, that could impact you as well. So that's why I find it really powerful to be in like masterminds. We got like I love being around driven entrepreneurs who work really, really hard, and now I'm incredibly hardworking. That's one thing I praise myself, and you should praise yourself for you too. So I find it usually quite hard to find people who, work that hard. And when I found people who just got very basic goals, I tend to move away from that because I like to be very driven. Right? I do have breaks. I do things I enjoy, but I'm very, very driven. I love working, basically. So for me, I joined this group and it's amazing. And one thing, and some of these people were like, are in this really like top level Tony Robbins group, right? That he runs, and like they think in a different way, and they've achieved things. I don't judge myself. I look to them. I'm like, wow, they've done that. They're amazing. What can I learn from them? Right? That's the way I think, rather than like, oh, I'm not good enough compared to them. Like, I don't even think like that anymore, and that's because I've changed the way I think. Now, one of the things that I'm going to share with you today, well, the main thing I'm going to share with you today, and then how to do it, is the questions you ask yourself. And it's not just like, oh, okay, I might change the questions. It's about how you're consciously going to create a process around changing the questions in your life. All right, because to quote one of my mentors, Peter Sage, who's actually in the middle of the Atlantic right now, it's also Tony Robbins had a very similar saying, and Tony Robbins, actually Peter learned a lot from Tony Robbins, but Peter says, questions are the steering wheel of the mind, which is very true. You ask yourself a question, it will determine where you go. Okay, and then Tony Robbins says, the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of your questions. May have been the other way around, but you get the point, right? Okay, so it's the same thing, whatever way around it is, right? But like, if you're asking yourself, "Oh, what's going to go wrong today?" How's that going to make you feel? Probably pretty rubbish, pretty crappy, right? If you ask yourself, "Oh, what's going to go? What's exciting about today?" or "What challenge can I look and like master today, even if there's challenges coming up?" Right? Completely different questions, completely different answers, completely different feeling. Right? And that's how I've been able to wire my mind to think in different ways. Now, maybe you ask yourself those negative questions, it's not just serving you, because I've totally been guilty of that as well. So here's the process for how you can really start to rewire your mind with these questions. Number one, have one main quality question that you can ask yourself every morning, every evening, right? So think of like, and to do this, the best way is to think of like, actually, what's the biggest challenge I have right now, right? What's the main negative thought I have? And then actually start identifying what's the question around that. It's like, oh, what's going to go wrong now? Or oh, what if that happens? Instead, you can flip it and ask yourself an empowering question like, ah, what's exciting about today? And or how can I love myself even more and those around me? Imagine asking yourself that question every single day. You feel pretty good, right? Now, I've been caught in the ego trap many times where I've been like, right, try to achieve certain things, and I disconnected with people. whilst when I started asking questions about love, like how can I serve people more, how can I be there for more people, that completely changed the way I was feeling and serving people. So identifying one key question that's going to make you feel good. Now, you can find this out as well by studying some very, very happy and successful people and see kind of the questions they're asking themselves. If you want any more help with this one, by the way, feel free to message me. I'd love to help you as well. I'll just message you back with some ideas. So the second one is to ask yourself, do a weekly evaluation. I like to sit down, call it a CEO day, where I sit down and focus with me and go deep into journaling. And what I do is I look at three main areas, and I try and keep my list to no more than three when I'm doing lists in things now in life. So one is like my wealth and my business, one is my relationships, and one of them is spirituality in terms of growth contribution. And I also put health in that category as well, because although health supports all of those things, right? And then I'll like go through those areas and I'll ask myself questions every single week. So find some time, just 2 hours on a Saturday or Sunday when you've got some time, even if you have to get up a bit earlier, and ask yourself some good quality questions about your life, right? And then again, if you need support with this, let me know. And then the third one, those two are very proactive. And now by asking them consciously, it's going to start getting your brain thinking, right? The third one is catch yourself. When you're thinking a negative thought, what is the negative question you're asking then? Just pause and then say, okay, and then flip it and change it to a more empowering question as well. So my final point for you, the extra point I want to share with you is, I was touching on this a moment ago about like looking at what like happy, successful people are doing. Look at some of the great questions some of the most inspirational heroes in history have asked. Like if you look at people like Nelson Mandela, what kind of questions? Again, like I know it's obviously subjective to who's heroes and things like that. But if you look at people who have got like big names, big histories, and who's a hero to you, maybe different to me, of course, right? But if you look at people who've done something, created a legacy in life, like I was using Nelson Mandela there because he made a big impact on the world and it came to mind. Look at the kind of questions they were asking, right? And then use that as inspiration for some of the questions you could ask in your life as well. Because when you start asking yourself better questions, it's going to lead to better answers, better actions, take the action as well, and then better feelings. And of course, the feelings and the actions can come at the same time as well from the answers you're going to get. So that's what I got for you today. I wanted to talk about the power questions on rewiring your mind. I really appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much for listening. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.